Hi, everyone. I am Jen O'Toole, the Unicorn Leadership Coach, and today I want to talk about mindset. It's a broad topic, and today I'll just focus on two elements, the elements of a growth versus a fixed mindset. I consider myself a glass half full, optimistic, everything eventually works itself out kind of person, as well as someone who never really tires of learning new things. I consider myself to have a growth mindset as opposed to a fixed mindset. When we're going through a period of change, whether it's planned or unplanned, voluntary or involuntary, our mindset is a large factor in determining how well we navigate the change curve. So, what's the difference between the two? A person with a growth mindset is highly adaptable and believes that they have the ability to navigate the learning process and change in general with resilience. They believe their talents, skills, abilities, personality can be developed through hard work, good strategies, learning from mistakes, and getting input from others. They also embrace the unknown with enthusiasm, without concern for imperfection and missteps that are bound to happen along the way. On the other hand, a person with a fixed mindset is pretty comfortable with the status quo. And any changes or disruptions to that are a bit uncomfortable. They believe their basic qualities like intelligence, their talents, their abilities are fixed traits, that they have a certain amount of talent or intelligence, and that is that. And even people who believe they can grow and develop in new areas can potentially fall into a fixed mindset when they believe that what's known right now is probably better than some unknown future state. In short, a person with a fixed mindset about their ability to grow and learn something new is very unlikely to even start the process, let alone navigate through the challenges they'll encounter during the process. However, a person with a growth mindset will believe that they can become competent in some new subject or skill over time, and they'll persist even when they have setbacks. And while these two things may sound like a dichotomy, a person is either one or the other, we are really all a mixture of both mindsets that show up in different situations, even though we might have a propensity for one over the other. We have areas where we believe we have high potential, and we have areas where we believe that our potential is more limited. When a person applies a growth mindset to a new challenge, they are more resilient and see setbacks as a necessary part of getting better. Whereas when a person applies a fixed mindset to a new challenge, they believe they are defined by their failures, and their motivation then diminishes with each setback. So going back to what I had said earlier, even though my personal approach to learning something new would generally be through a growth mindset, I started to look for the times where I approached something with a fixed mindset instead. And while I couldn't find any that really stuck out in particular as something large, what I did notice was a pattern. The situations where I find myself at least starting from a fixed mindset most often come from required change or new expectations of others that I don't agree with, don't necessarily want to do, or at least I'm not on board yet. And this brought up something interesting for me that took me well into my adulthood to fully understand and acknowledge. I love and thrive on exploration and change. New and novel, that's a hugely fun place for me to play. Except when it's not my idea, or I don't like it, or both. But the reality is, in nearly every case where I have found myself in the fixed mindset, for me, it was a temporary situation where I just needed to get more information, find the reasons necessary to support the new thing I had to learn or embrace. It was not a lasting thing. It was just a slight detour off the path as I moved into the growth mindset. but it still existed. And so I know what the fixed mindset feels like. But what about those people for whom a fixed mindset is more the norm? In a world where change is constant and is happening at an unprecedented pace compared to even 1 or 2 generations ago, is it possible to make a shift to a more productive growth mindset if it's not been your nature? Well, it's hard, but I think there are several ways that you can start moving in the growth direction if you've been stuck in the fixed mindset. First, stop needing and seeking the approval of others. Instead of constantly trying to impress other people, by staying safe, not wading into any areas where you put your reputation for success at risk, focus on how you feel about yourself, not what others think of you. It's difficult and draining to occupy your mind with what others might say about you. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter at all. When you focus on growth, do it to become a better version of yourself, for yourself. The second thing is to value the journey instead of focusing solely on the destination. No matter what your goals are in life, on a personal or professional level, it's important to respect every decision you made to get where you are today. You need to appreciate the journey toward your desired outcomes because ultimately that is much more valuable than the outcome itself. The things you learn along the way will stay with you for life and impact your future decisions and outcomes again and again. And the third way you can start to embrace this mindset is to learn to embrace failure as a natural part of your growth. Failure, however you label it, mistakes, setbacks, stumbles, regrets, is nothing to be afraid of. It is inevitable and it happens throughout our lives. In fact, we fail at things daily, in small ways, all the time. But these small things don't rise to the level of concern. So we mitigate them and then we move on. So innately, we know how to move easily through failure. But at some threshold, we assign it a meaning that triggers fear. And in fearing it, we miss out on so many opportunities. So what if you fail? In order to have a growth mindset, you need to perceive failure as something from which you can grow and learn. By having this approach, your life experience will be much richer and probably more interesting for both you and for others. Ultimately, we all create our life experiences. Each of us is the creator of our present by the things we choose and by the reaction we have to the things we do not choose. And together, that defines what our future will look like. And we all handle things differently too. And not everything works the same for one person as it does for another. So if these suggestions don't work for you, do some research on mindset and find what does work for you. Okay.